if you're in growth mode, which it sounds like you are, then you're in growth mode. It's a cut and dry example. And part of the job in growth mode is to make sure you're using equity to keep the momentum going. And sometimes that means you got
Yep.
to sell. And, I never had a problem selling, right? I wasn't selling my properties because I was going to go take a $20,000 vacation. I was selling
No,
it
heck
because I
no.
saw the equity being better used, treated well. Sometimes it pays just to understand and really appreciate that the sacrifice is worth it. I know a lot of you are in the early parts, early in the suck, the first 5 years suck. I've been very clear about that. But when you get to that year 10, that year 15, and now I'm at year 22, it goes from sucking to good to great to amazing. So Omar and I thought we'd have a conversation today about those early struggles, about the sacrifice, and yes, folks, enjoying the rewards of said sacrifice. Just so you know it's worth it and it will work for you. Omar, how you doing?
Doing great, Michael. Doing good.
Yeah, it's
Blessed to be
it's
here.
oh, thank you very much. Yeah, this is really cool. This really came to me with a question I got out of Russell Brunson's book, right? If the question basically is, hey, Omar, you and I are sitting down 3 years from now, one on one.
Yeah.
And I ask you, uh, both professionally and personally, what has to have happened for you to deem those 3 years successful?
Ooh,
And
okay.
yeah, yeah. So we'll talk about that with you. But the one thing that I'm frankly almost giddy about, and I didn't really know it until I kind of processed this question on the personal level, Omar, not a damn thing needs to change, right? There's nothing I want. There's nothing. I just want everybody to be happy and healthy. I
Uh-huh.
want uh, I want to keep doing what I'm doing every day. I choose to do what I do. I'm not beholden to anyone. I take trips when I want. In fact, we just booked another trip yesterday. We're going out to Iceland for 10 or 11 days, maybe 12 days.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so, we just got back from, roughly 2 weeks in New York. Yeah, man, on a personal level, those 20 years of work or sacrifice, whatever you want to call it, we're on the other side of that. And I just want people to realize, if they can have it too. It takes time.
I think anything that you do takes time, and some definitely putting in that work, just like your hat says. The dedication. Actually, I think I'll take that back. I mean, motivation you'll have for a little bit when you taste some, some success, some fun, some new money, some damn, I can pay my bills. Damn, I can actually go buy something nice, or
Yeah.
that motivation. Like I want to do some more of it. But after all that's washed away, or after you hit that mile marker, that one rental, then the second rental, then the third rental, you're like, okay, now this nice car or that nice boat or that unit, it loses its dopamine, it loses its rush, right?
Mm-hmm.
So after all that said, I think that there has to, and I think this is in you 100%. It's the discipline that it takes to keep going, and knowing that that result may or may not be there, but it's just compiling. You don't see it yet, but
Mm-hmm.
then obviously 10, 15 years down the road you do. But it was all that discipline that it took to get
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
It's cool, man, because I see it from you, so it's cool.
Yeah. The journey's hard for everybody. I mean, early in the process, you're making mistakes. You don't know what you don't know. Some people are going to take advantage of you. Stuff's going to break. And it's tested Olivia and I. There's no lie. I told lots of stories about the suck. Shoot, my first rental was a horrible situation. Um, but that first rental bought in 2002, if you look at, we put roughly 20 grand down, now 22 years later, because of cash out refis, 1031 exchanges, that 20 grand, it's morphed into five or $600,000. It's morphed into probably, gosh, 7, 8 grand in cash flow. It's
Beautiful.
it's it's just time. It's time, right? Wealth is a very simple formula. And the third step is 10 years. Just you got to own assets for 10 years. It's just how the game is played.
Now, okay. you got to own assets for 10 years, Michael. Now, is on a side note or segue into um, a question for you is that
Mhm.
during that 10-year mark, if you don't have an alligator, you keep it. But if you do you sell it into something that might be a little bit more performing and then hold that one for 10 years? At what
Yeah.
point do you start upgrading within 10 years?
Oh, certainly. You've got, yeah, our 10 years. I mean, we stayed rather leveraged. I think about 75% levered through the whole way via cash out refis or 1031 exchanges. But yeah, I mean, if you have a problem property, I still do this, right? We had a problem property for 3 years. We just sold it last year. It's like this one property of all of our units took up more than 50% of our time. Guess
Ooh,
what? We sold that bad boy. That bad boy's gone. So yeah, if you got a problem property that just can't go, and again, it was in an okay part of town. It was a triplex. It was a duplex in front, house in the back. It's all the stuff I loved, but it didn't work. It just didn't work for whatever reason. And I'm like, that's enough. One property is taking up half our time. We got to get rid of it. And I'm glad we did. But to your question about alligators, yeah, if you have one and dude, you don't want alligators. They just eat you alive. If you have an alligator now, but you have a plan to improve it, like you're going to do some value add or rents are going to go up soon, maybe you
right.
can hold on. But yeah, if you've been grinding, if you have an alligator for 2, 3, 4 years, personally, I would sell it. I mean, it's just a drain on your capital. Um, you don't have to though. Like if it's a couple $100 and you got a good job and all of that, you don't need to take my advice, but I would sell it, right? If you're asking me what I would do, I just I will not buy or create alligators. It's just part of the process.
So definition alligator something that's taking your time but creates cash flow, or is it something that creates some cash flow and you know that equity could be used somewhere else to triple or quadruple the cash flow? What is the alligator per se? Because it could be
Yeah,
two different alligators, one low
yeah,
cost or
mm,
low cash flow, but it just sits there, or
yeah,
a negative one,
yeah, yeah. So
or
for me, an
maybe I don't know.
alley,
Tell me.
yeah. So you're really asking two different questions. So we'll define
I am.
alligator first. Alligator, in my mind, is 100% negative cash flow. Like I tell the story in my book, I did a stupid cash out refi on our first property, and my
Norris
mortgage,
Drive.
yeah, Norris Drive, my mortgage payment was more than rent, so I was guaranteed to have a negative number every number, even if nothing went wrong. I was going to have a negative one. That's an alligator. So we'll talk about that. Then you're really asking about return on equity. Is
Right.
really what you're asking next. Say I got this little house, it's got $300,000 in equity, but it makes $200. I could take that 300 grand, put it somewhere else, and make $1,000. If you're in growth mode, which probably most people are, I would seriously think about moving the equity into the new asset, right? Because if you're in growth mode, you're in growth mode. Now where I'm at, just to kind of, some people's at the end of the cycle, I have many properties like that where the equity spread is huge compared to the cash flow. I'm not worried about it. I don't calculate return on equity. It's not something I look at. However, if I found an opportunity to go bigger, I'd 1031 again. So it's
Okay.
not something I drive myself crazy with, return on equity at this point in my career. But when I was in growth mode, yeah, that equity got moved, it got used because I was just trying to get the snowball bigger. Um,
Right.
so you just got to figure out which game you're in.
Well, that makes sense. No, I like that, Michael. And yeah, I'm seeing what you've done, and it's like I hate selling some of my
Mm-hmm.
assets. And it's
Yeah,
like, as I was asking you, it's like, damn, like I have all these somewhat decent deals with great debt, great interest debt, anyways.
right, right.
But also seeing where there's 190, 200K of equity that I can, like, you know what, let me grab that. Let me
Mm,
go put it somewhere else, even though I cost segregated it. So I'm
mm,
gonna have to pay recapture. I didn't 1031 because I have a ginormous carryover, right? So
yep,
it's like I'm
yep.
playing this game. It's like, well, no, I need to get cashed out I
Yeah.
got to get myself liquid
Yep.
and then make the decisions and be like, all right, I can take this $1 million and make it into 1.5,
Yep.
which is
Yeah. That's
faster than the cash flow.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If you're in growth mode, which it sounds like you are, then you're in growth mode. It's a cut and dry example. And part of the job in growth mode is to make sure you're using equity to keep the momentum going. And sometimes that means you got
Yep.
to sell. And, I never had a problem selling, right? I wasn't selling my properties because I was going to go take a $20,000 vacation. I was selling
No,
it
heck
because I
no.
saw the equity being better used, treated well. Today, I don't think about it, but I'm at a different stage.
That's awesome. That's good, Mike. That's good. I mean, I like this, the delay gratification to get you what you want later. Um, it's that journey too, man. Is like that discipline you have to stay on track and not
Yeah.
like, oh, let me take my money and let me go blow it, and then you just lost
YOLO.
4 or 5 years.
Oh, dude,
But
that is
that
the worst. That is the worst thing. I have seen people do this. So they get in the game, they follow what Olivia and I do. And some of these are like family friends. They
right.
get in the game, they start having some success. They're like at year 5, year 6. So they're past the hardest part. They're also seeing some return on they're also seeing bigger equity spreads. And man, I'm thinking of one couple. I think they were in the game 7 years, and they decided that they wanted to have a second home somewhere, a nice second home. So they sold their entire portfolio, bought this
Ooh,
other property cash, and then had a big tax hit, and they never got back in. They're going to work forever. They never got. I can't fathom that. You're at year
okay.
7.
So
You're like 4 or 5 years away from like truly good things.
that's it. Okay. That's interesting, Mike, because you were telling you're 7. They sold. Now, you posted something yesterday. It's like invest where it makes sense, live where you want.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I see that. I'm listening to it, and it's like, dude, maybe that's something that they wanted to do. They invested in the areas where appreciated, but why get rid of the assets? Why not rent them and then have the renters pay for your area of living?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, people change, man. I mean, again, again, we kind of how we opened, right? Olivia and I are 22 years into this thing, and it allows us to do amazing things that are pretty awesome. It just takes time to get there, right? Focus, discipline, staying on task, but it's worth it. The juice is worth the squeeze. So just keep
Of
going.
course, 100%.
Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Well,
what
it's
about
good
you, Omar?
stuff,
Let
Michael.
me ask you that question. I'm going to ask you the Russell Brunson question. You and I are sitting down. It's 2027. What has to happen for Omar to deem the last 3 years successful, both personal and professional?
Ooh, that's good. I'll start with personal.
Sure.
Um, Making sure that my kids, my 3 daughters and my little boy are solid, healthy, happy, content. My daughter is a year away from graduating college, at Vanguard, which is cool. So I want to see that. I want to see her flourish. Our relationship with Alyssa, myself, is great, phenomenal. We're like working together and everything's perfect, right? I mean, I'm not going to say everything's perfect. In an ideal situation, the last 3 years, I'm going to gauge it
Yeah.
off of that because that's what you asked.
Yep.
So mom's doing well, brother and sister are doing awesome. So immediate family, the team is flourishing, they're crushing it. And on the business side, um, making sure that the decisions I make with real estate and other endeavors, the entrepreneurship of owning businesses, um, are profitable and cash flowing, and I'm able to impact other people's lives by hiring more people because then my extension now is through them, and it's like now I'm making sure that all my people are taken care of. That's what I would want to see in the next 3 years. I will see that in the next 3 years. I should clarify that.
You will see that.
I
That's
will
amazing.
see that.
This is going to be a lot of fun, man. You and I are going to be talking every Tuesday for the next 3 years. So we'll
Let's
be watching
go,
you
man.
grow.
I'm excited about this. This is gonna be cool.
Where can people find you?
Guys, follow me on IG at Invest with Omar, or go to omaralfaro.com.
There you go, buddy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.